All right, everybody. Hi, and welcome to my channel today. I hope you're as excited as I am to play through this blue-white control list that I've got cooked up for us today. So I will say that blue-white control, as the deck we see here, is not necessarily the deck that I've had the most fun playing with, but it is a really, really important prototype for a lot of the other control decks in the format. And so as we look into the different kinds of control decks that you can play, and that I will be playing over the next few videos, I think starting from this sort of blue-white control base is really instructional, if absolutely nothing else. So, some card choices that are worth pointing out. Fateful Absence is probably one of the better removal spells in the format. The flexibility of being able to just straight up destroy a creature or a planeswalker, because planeswalkers are a problem for these sorts of decks, whether it's the Professor Onyxes coming out of the black decks or the Teferis that are in those new Twiddle decks. We don't have a lot of really clear answers to that in blue-white, and so having a card that just says, yep, you're going to get to draw a card, but that's fine, is good here. Um, Going down, Sunset Revelry lets us turn games around. There's a lot of aggro decks out there. We're going to take a lot of damage before we stabilize, and this sorts of lets us turn that around, get some blockers on the table. Test of Talents is a really easy punk against the decks with big spell finishers. I'm looking at Alrund's Epiphany in particular here. And Faithful Mending, in terms of card draw, does a lot of things that I think a lot of blue-white control decks want, but a lot of them are kind of afraid to include. So the 2 life that you gain from casting these is not irrelevant in any scenario. The amount of aggressive decks, and even decks like the Dragon's deck, where gaining 2 life here or there can really put you back in the game, is relevant. And then being able to dig and discard cards that aren't relevant. The fact of the matter is that not every card we have is going to be relevant in every matchup, and so being able to ditch some of those and hopefully dig for ones that are more relevant is pretty good. And the number of flashback cards that we're able to put in the bin and still use them later makes this a pretty low-cost way to dig through the library. Divide by Zero is just generally good. We have a learn board that gives us access to more land, more removal, more card draw, and importantly, one of our bigger finisher spells. Mascot Exhibition is not to be underrated in this standard, because especially once they've kind of ditched a lot of their removal against you, it becomes a way to close out a game really, really easily. Devious Cover Up. You might say, well, we've got Sorcerer Cummings. What's the Devious Cover Up doing there? It's a really expensive counterspell. I really love the 2 of Devious Cover Up, and not every deck can afford it. That's fine, but in the decks where you can justify it, it's really, really great, because at the end of the day, all of these resources we've gone over that are really good in specific matchups, you'll notice that we only have 2 Fateful Absences. We have only so many Wraths that we can play in a deck, and so being able to not only counter a spell, albeit at a pretty elevated cost, it does exile it, so you can use this as a way to get rid of things like Memory Deluge and not have to deal with them on the way back down. But importantly, it lets you put back into your deck a lot of those answers that you're going to need to dig up later. And the reason why you always want them in 2s at least is that if you have a Devious Cover Up in your library or in your graveyard and you cast one, you can loop them basically semi-infinitely, and allows you to keep just sort of reusing these cards over and over again. Doomscar and Devastating Mastery fit the same general place in the deck, in that they are flexible wraths. Generally speaking, I don't take a deck out unless it has at least 6 wrath effects, because especially with where I am on the ladder right now, the chances of getting overwhelmed by creatures is so high. So Doomscar gives us a way to use Foretell to get a cheap wrath out, and Devastating Mastery, because it destroys all non-land permanents, it gives us a hedge against things that, like Essica's Chariot or the Turgrid's Lanterns that have been appearing up for God knows what reason all of a sudden, Planeswalkers, and it's just a way to just reset the board. And because we don't commit a whole lot of permanents to the board, it doesn't affect us too much. It's pretty rare that we cast this for its student cost, but it's non-trivial. And last but not least, there's a 1 of Lier here. This card is so powerful, being able to just grab all of our removal from our graveyard, our Divide by Zeros, our Memory Deluges. Well, Memory Deluge already has flashback, but it gives you a way to fit more of them in the curve and make use of that. Or if we have anything from the sideboard, comes on back, and it's a way to just sort of really snowball back into the game. All right, that's the deck. It's blue-white control. It is about as pure control you can get without going to mono blue, and it's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and get in some games. All right, let's see who our opponent is. Roof Juice 753. Good luck, my friend. This hand is questionable. We have access to 3 mana. Field of Ruin can potentially fix us on the white, but not having white in our opening hand is a bit rough. If this is an aggro deck, we're going to get punished. If it's a control deck, I think we'll survive. I'm going to go ahead and give this a try because I think we'll be able to draw that white or fix into it pretty easily. Let's hope I don't get punished for that. I'm going to go ahead and start with our tap land. Don't particularly like giving up that counter spell so early, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And here, we're almost certainly going to be up against one of the various control decks of the format, and so I don't think we're going to end up getting punished too much. I would like to be able to get some planes online sooner so that we can start dropping these devastating masteries, but, you know, do what we can. Opponent's playing all basics, so I'm getting punished for relying on Field of Ruin as a card in that spot, but only so much you can do about that. I'd like to say I could punish my opponent for missing a land drop, but we're about to miss a land drop too. So I am basically looking for any opportunity to use Divide by Zero so that I can grab an Environmental Science and fix that as soon as possible. And they just keep foretelling stuff, and I am just going to keep getting punished for this. But at least we're both having mana issues, I suppose. Got discard a card. I'm going to go ahead and put our No, that could be really useful. I'm going to put a Faithful Mending in the graveyard. We can always cast it again later once we get a white source anyway. That's the beauty of flashback in this format. And wow, all right. This is going to be interesting because I have a feeling that this is a lot of counter spells up there for our opponent, but with us both having mana issues, the only upside here is that our opponent probably has no idea that we have a white source in there. And now this gets interesting. So I have the opportunity here to try to either fix my white using Field of Ruin or to try to punk out a Memory Deluge. And so it's kind of tough here because, like, in this case, who knows what's going to happen here. Our opponent's been stuck on land for a while. And so the sort of thinning aspect of that isn't going to be super relevant. They're almost certainly going to counter this Memory Deluge, but it may be right just to start pulling them through these. I think that's... Or actually I can... Alright, change of plans. I'm going to try to fix to the white with a Field of Ruin, and then Faithful Mending to try to start getting the cogs turning. Hopefully this does not give our opponent access to piles more lands that they otherwise wouldn't have had, but we'll see what we can do. The fact that they didn't float a mana there tells me that they don't have anything too scary to worry about. But here's our plains, and now we can Faithful Mending. If they want to blow a counterspell on this, mazel tov. Alright, we get access to it. I have a feeling that our Doomscar and our Sunset Revelry are not going to be particularly valuable here, so I'm going to pitch those. If I'm wrong about that, right on time, we got a Devious Cover-Up to reward us later. What we don't have is a land. Alright. Well, at least our opponent's here in Solidarity with us. I'm going to foretell this. Let us have access to 2 different counter spells, both Saw It Coming and Test of Talents next turn. And if they don't give us anything to counter, then we just get straight up rewarded by having access to that. Do I want to risk Saw It Coming here? I think I do. Because it's going to be a long time before I can kill this with Devastating Mastery. Now, there was a chance that they could have just countered my counter there, because I guarantee they're sitting on counters, but you sort of take your beats where you can. So here, again, not drawing a land. It's not great. But I'm going to go ahead and sit on this. There's always a chance that we can counter things if we need to. If they give us an opportunity, we can try to Memory Deluge. I think that's what's going to end up happening here. If they want to counter a Memory Deluge, the only thing that would be sad is if they Test of Talents the Memory Deluge. But even if they want to start burning counters on these, because they have flashback, I'm not too worried about. Aha! They counter the well, so they don't counter it, but they countered Memory Deluge. They Memory Deluge themselves, so that's interesting. Given where our opponent's at, I definitely want this plains because I want more white sources, and the real question is whether I grab Doomscar as a sort of hedge against their dragons, or grab this Divide by Zero. Or a Field of Ruin just so I have more lands at my disposal. You know, actually, I think I go with the 2 lands at this point. That's really what I need, you know? I need to stop missing those land drops. And our opponent's gonna, you know, put us to the test soon, I'm sure. But this gives an opportunity here. Drawing another land here, I'm actually not sad about it. We don't have... So I'm going to drop the Glacial Floodplain. That comes in tapped. We still have access to 2 different counter spells. We can Memory Deluge again. And it means that in the coming turns, some of these things are going to get better. I'm going to ditch the Sunset Revelry again. Don't see that being relevant anytime soon. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say the game is going great for us, but it could be going a lot worse. And now that they're at 5 mana, this is where things start to get a little dicey. If they start dropping dragons, that's not great. Honestly, if they drop a dragon here, okay, Smoldering Egg, Devious Cover-Up. So when it comes to put in Doomscar again, Sar coming, and Field of Ruin. So getting to put these back in the deck is awesome. Doomscar, Sunset Revelry, Memory Deluge. I think I just take the 3. I don't really want the other things going back in there. They could even counter this. That would be annoying, but we'll see it going. Again, the real issue here is that I just don't have a ton of really great answers to creatures right now, so I want to keep as many of them off the board as possible. Using the Devious Cover-Up there isn't ideal, but, you know, make it work. But actually, at this point, anything that if they cast that, they can't replay. So if they put a Goldspan Dragon there, dividing by 0 so that I could get a card from the Learn board is a pretty high priority right now. But Fateful Absence is good. I am very happy about that. Drop Plains, so we're a little bit closer to being able to use Devastating Mastery in case of emergency. But given where we are, I don't really want to do anything else, so I'll pass. We're sitting on a Memory Deluge. We got Test of Talents. We've got plenty of ways to make this work. And so now if they draw another egg, or drop another egg rather, this is a much easier answer to it. I'm much less worried about it. I would love it if they tried to Alrund's Epiphanius right here, because I would punish the heck out of them for it. Looks like I'm not going to get quite that lucky. But let's see if we can dig through the deck a little bit. But yeah, at this point, we've got a lot of gas, but we're just constantly in danger of getting punked out of the game here. So with the negate, I can fight over this. I'm not going to. The Memory Deluge is just going to go into our yard, and next turn we're at 7 mana, so that's fine. If they want to start spending their counters doing that, I am totally cool with it. Hopefully, this Field of Ruin will have a little bit of a better target than we had next time, so we can fix to get our 4th white mana. But I'm actually not at all sad about where we're at. Between having the Memory Deluges in the yard, the Divide by Zeros, the Test of Talents, only thing I really wish I had at this point was a Saw It Coming or another Devious Cover-Up. Otherwise, I'm happy with where we are. This is going to be fine. Here's a Goldspan. They don't have the additional mana, and I do want something for my sideboard. I'm going to take the opportunity to divide this. And we're actually at a point where it might make sense to take Mascot Exhibition. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards in hand. We're going to be... we can use the Teachings to draw 2 next turn. They're not going to be able, we're not going to be able to draw the extra card anytime soon. I'm actually in Teachings. That feels pretty good, actually. And we do need to play a couple... Oh, that's actually going to be tricky. But we'll get there. Alright, pass to my turn. So I'm going to go ahead and Faithful Mending and see if I can grab a land. Kinda. I'm not super pleased about that. I'll drop a Mastery. And the Jawari. As much as I said I wanted a land, that's not really the land I wanted. And we'll go from there. We'll be alright. We're still leaving up. Actually, now we've got access to both Divide by Zero and Test of Talents, so that's pretty great. We'll see if they drew another land, because we both seem to be having trouble with that. And they decide not to get frisky with the dragon. I wonder what they're up to. I don't have a clear thing to do at the end of stuff, so I'm going to move on. Wish I had this last turn. I'm just going to sit and sit pretty here. We've got access to a lot of resources, and I'm in no hurry to use them. I am curious to see what they are going to try to do here at end step, though. Nothing. Huh. Alright. We are in the draw go stage, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of that. Cast myself a 4 mana Memory Deluge just in case they've got something zazzy going on. Saw it coming. Problem is they probably so I would consider Test of Talenting this, except that they almost certainly have another one foretold here. I could divide it, and then they'll probably just cast... Oh, well, they can't cast it again. I'm going to divide it. That seems like a good way to go about this, because then unless they have a different counter, then I just get to go to my learn board. I only have 2 divides, so if they want a Test of Talents this, then Mazel Tov, they get the 1, and that's it. They get the 1 out of the graveyard, I suppose. Oh, jeez, I'm an idiot. They had a second foretold, saw it coming. But the big thing about this is now we've gotten 2 saw it comings out of commission. So this is actually not a loss here. And they are sitting on 7 cards in hand. I will actually get full fat value out of this Teaching of Archaics. That was not not a bad exchange at all. That was kind of a misplay on my part for not thinking about foretold saw it coming. But getting to draw, ooh, and that 3-card draw was excellent. I'm feeling pretty good about this because now we're sitting on multiple counters, multiple ways to deal with things. This is going to be great. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, boom. And if they ever do get to a point where they resolve a dragon and I can't deal with it, oh, you made this too easy for me. Now, there is a chance that that other foretold card is an All-Runs Epiphany, but this is too easy. Now, their hand is scary, but it's not really that big of a problem. Their library, they've got 1 more All-Runs here. Let's see, Imrith, that's good to know about. Not particularly scary, but it's good to know about. Dragon's Fire, Expressive. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward, but they've only got the 2 All-Runs Epiphanies, and now they don't. So I feel great right now. I don't know about you, but I feel great. I'm going to go ahead and cast Faithful Mending from the graveyard, so I can use this other Faithful Mending as fodder. Pitch like this. My opponent's thinking about their life choices. They've got 2 Goldspan Dragons, so this is nowhere near over. But they got really aggressive with that particular play, and honestly, I don't feel bad punishing for it. I don't have anything that I feel comfortable doing to punish them while they're tapped out. But knowing that there's no extra terminal spells coming makes me feel pretty good, because now we just got to get through these dragons, and then we're pretty decent. First dragon is going to get dealt with like this. So we're going to put back a devious cover up. That's part of the loop. I want to put divide by 0 back in. Want my tested talents back. And teachings like that. Put them back in the deck. Boom. I'm feeling pretty good about where we are right now. This Fading Hope is going to be worth knowing about, because we are sitting on a Faithful Absence. But, you know, we've got all the white we want. If they've got manlands, I forgot to look for those, but we're doing good. We've got 5 mana open. And I like where our hand is, so I'm going to go ahead and leave the Faithful Mendings in the yard. We're under no pressure to do anything at this point. I'd like to find a Hall of the Storm Giants soon, but hey, we're fine. We're in the driver's seat right now. I hope it stays that way. But right now, their hand can't really punish us that badly. They could get back in the game, because they do have this pile of them. They did have one of those suspended. Okay, so the extra turn spells are not completely out of the woods, but we don't have to, we at least have a safety valve for now. I'm going to grab a Mascot Exhibition, because that's going to be one of the ways that we can start getting frisky. So they do have an Alrund's Epiphany. For some reason, I thought I had counted against that, but hey, you know, we're getting there. Either way, I did not leave too much on the table. It's at the end of the turn. Let's go ahead and Memory Deluge. Boom. Hall of the Storm Giants. Saw it coming. Love to see it. Go ahead and drop the Hall. And now here we have 10 mana open. If we Mascot Exhibition with the right colors of mana, let me go ahead do this. We can both Mascot Exhibition and leave up a Saw It Coming and divide by 0. And so Mascot Exhibition is going to feel really good right here. And now we can start getting a little closer to closing out the game. Our opponent's going to be like, well, they can't possibly have an answer to it twice in a row, right? Oh, Moshai. Force Spike isn't in this format, and well, okay, they have one card that I don't know. Okay, Fading Hope that's fine. This is going to just continue to get dirtier and dirtier, and now we're sitting on the Test of Talents. I love it. We're going to drop the Plains, and go ahead and attack like this. Eventually, we'll be able to use the Hall of Storm Giants to close out a lot of this, but I'm just going to continue to commit big beefy boys to the board and make my opponent have answers to them. And now we've got increasing number of ways to deal with this. I am feeling pretty good. Because their other threat in hand is a Goldspan Dragon, I'm going to Test of Talents here. They still have not drawn a Force Spike, so I'm still not worried about it. I do want to check their library real quick and see. I assume they have Hall of Storm Giants. Okay, so that's the sort of last thing that we need to worry about, and that's the end of it. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my turn. Draw on the lands. Here's where they were this whole time. Smack in for a whole pile of damage. And that's lethal. Actually, I wasn't even counting, but there we go. Making it look, I wouldn't say easy, but the grindy games we know and love from our control decks. All right. Next opponent is Memnarch, also drawing the Renin 7 avatar, so no idea what they're going to be playing, but I can respect it. This hand is going to be great against control, just okay against aggro. Doomscar here is basically our hedge. I think it's good enough to keep. Not thrilled about it, but it could be okay. I'm going to start off with the Glacial Floodplain, since that one will never come into play untapped. There. I gotta get my emotes set back up, man. I'm going to drop planes here. Forest, so that's annoying. But I'm going to go ahead and force hell Doomscar. I think that's going to ultimately be more relevant. I don't think we're going to need it next turn, but the sooner we sort of get out of the way, the sooner we can move on with our life. And this Ranger class is going to be obnoxious. Having a Field of Ruin here is really great with that Faceless Haven going on. I'm going to go with a Deserted Beach for now. So ultimately we're going to be looking into countering what they're doing. I'm hoping... So we're going to look at either counter what they're doing, or I'm hoping that they give me an opportunity to divide the Ranger class when they invest into it. Because if they don't have much on the mana side, we can sort of punish them from that, and then hopefully snag it again on the way back down. But we'll see. Either way, that's all we're doing this turn. We'll see what Memnarch has in store for us here. Shocker, another forest. And they've chosen not to invest mana into the Ranger class. That's indicative of something big coming down here. They can't drop Troll, but maybe they got something else. The Mammoth. I think here, actually, I'm going to divide this. Basically time walk them. Not literally, but kind of. And grab, let's see, I've got 4 cards in hand. They've got 6. So I can grab Teachings of the Archaics and use that as a card draw spell. Drop Field of Ruin. Jawari here actually is pretty decent, so it's making me question. I'm going to go ahead and sit pretty. I think between the Jawari Disruption, saw it coming, there's only so many ways that this could go traumatically wrong. I think they're going to go for the basically the same plan next turn. If they do it without dropping a land, then this Jawari Disruption is awesome. Aha! That is not the same plan. That's okay. I'm going to let that resolve, because Doomscar is still going to be an answer. I'm going to play the Mammoth as a land. Seems decent. I think I just sit. There is a chance that if I keep trying to get too much value out of this Doomscar, I'm going to get punished pretty hard for it. So I have to keep that in the back of my mind. And that's kind of the only thing really kind of keeping me up at night here. I think I do this. So I'll go ahead and move on. But I think I'm going to quite quickly wish that I had not gotten so cute about this Doomscar. But we're not past the point of no return yet. I do wish Doomscar was an instant speed, but hey, we can't win them all. They're going to pump, and I'm hoping... Okay, we're going to take 6 here. That does not feel great, but I'm going to go ahead and Faithful Mending. This gets us 2 life. Pitch the Jawari Disruption in something else. Okay, pitch the Jawari Disruption and the Faithful Mending here, and then it sort of hedges us against some of that. Hall of the Storm Giants is an excellent draw there, because that gives us something in the near future to worry about. And I think the answer here is Doomscar, and that lets us counter anything too big and scary that comes down next turn. Only real issue I see is that if they draw us no land off the top, then Faceless Haven's going to go ahead and get all up in our butt. But, you know, yeah, you kind of do what you got to do. Now this, I can deal with. We saw that coming. And importantly about that is that if we had let that resolve, it had to kill it later. Then putting it the enchantment version of it on the Snow-Covered Forest does let them turn on their Faceless Haven. So this feels pretty okay. So if I Teachings, if If I teachings, I can still cast a counter spell. I'll draw 2 cards. I'm gonna go ahead and draw the 2, just see if I can get a removal spell in here. Not quite, but I think I do play it as a land. That's fine. We're not in the best position I've ever been in, but, you know, again, it's been worse in the past, so I'm not too worried. Now, if they get frisky with a Faceless Haven here, I'm going to feel pretty good about this turn, because that is going to be pretty good. Primal Adversary. That's going to get countered, because otherwise they're going to turn some lands into wolves, and I just don't want to deal with that. Cool. Devastating Mastery here is actually pretty decent. I do need one more white source to actually use it, but hopefully that's coming off of Field of Ruin. They've got so many cards in hand that I honestly don't entirely know what they're going to launch against us. But if I look at this realistically, Lier isn't going to be able to block a Faceless Haven, and it's not really going to get back anything that we're going to want to cast with this other than like a Divide by 0, so I think it's not Lier's time yet. I think the answer is the main phase Memory Deluge, just try to start getting some answers here. Seem better, but we've got the Devious Cover Up and a Memory Deluge, so hoping that what they do here, even though they probably won't, in my perfect world, they try to get frisky with the Faceless Haven and I punish them with the Field of Ruin, but this thing's sitting out there, and unfortunately I've got the card style on it, so it's really obvious that it's sitting there. So they've got the Ranger class. That's fine. I can't do anything about that. But yeah, realistically, it's going to be a while before that Faceless Haven becomes a thing, and they've got so many cards in hand that it's not going to be a real thing to worry about anyway. But that being said, I think as much as I kind of hate this, I think I need to Field of Ruin here to get that extra white. I'm going to Field of Ruin the Faceless Haven. So I need a 4th white source, and then I think that Devastating Mastery is actually pretty decent there. They're probably going to get to play something else, but like these Ranger classes are going to start becoming really problematic, and having a 2nd Devastating Mastery means that there's only so much worse it can get. Like I don't feel great about Devastating Mastery here, but the fact that I've got a 2nd sort of safety valve, like they're not gonna have haste threats. I'm probably gonna get smacked by a Faceless Haven here, but being able to sort of wipe away all the mana they've invested into those Ranger classes feels okay. It certainly doesn't feel bad. Old Growth Troll, that's obnoxious. Lotus Cobra, okay, they're going all in on it. I am totally fine with this. Again, probably going to turn around and get smacked by a Faceless Haven, but we'll live with it. Destroy all non-land permanents again. Boom. That's going to, well, they get the enchantment troll, but oh well. But now we're at a point where hopefully if I can start milking them out of more and more creatures. The fact that they're going in with a Faceless Haven makes perfect sense. They've got enough mana where they probably still have another creature in hand. I think it was good to just sort of get their board back to a controlled state, but yeah, this could be going better. I think the answer here is to leave up counter, leave up Memory Deluge, and leave up Hollow Storm Giants just to sort of disincentivize them from getting crazy. Okay, they're going to activate that, and so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. I think I can Field of Ruin here and still. Let's wait until attacks. Pass to attackers. This way they don't get the mana in response. So what I'm going to do here, just to make sure, Okay, so I probably could have gotten both of them if I had done this differently, but no, I'll do it this way because I can Field of Ruin the Faceless Haven, but I can't Field of Ruin the Troll. And they can't do too much of anything here, I don't think. Snakeskin Veil isn't going to save them. Can push some more damage through, but with Faithful Mending here, that's nasty. But, oof. Terraria Disruption is going to get less and less good here, so I'm going to play it as a land. I kind of just do the same thing. This time they really have to respect the Hall of the Storm Giants on that. I'll be able to Memory Deluge, Faithful Mending. I really, really, really want a Sunset Revelry soon, because that's really what we need to get here. But I don't think that they're going to have any sort of haste threats I need to worry about. I've got Devious Cover-Up. I'm not too worried. I probably should have Test Talented that Inscription, but you win some, you lose some. Yeah, I'm going to Devious Cover-Up this. So I need to make sure... Okay, I don't have any other Devious Cover-Ups, so I'm going to put Devastating Mastery back. Doomscar. And... Saw it coming. Even if they decide that they... or if they have another forest in hand and they want to get in with the Faceless Haven, I've still got the Field of Ruin. Not too worried about it. Memory Deluge from hand lets me still take advantage of this turn. We're doing all right. All the Storm Giants feels great, but don't think that's the right call here. I think the answer is to Saw It Coming and either Fading Hope or Divide by Zero. I think I take Fading Hope so that eventually I can play the Lier game. This is also just good against other man lands, in case this isn't the end of the story there. Okay, 2 Saw It Comings feels pretty great. So I'm going to Foretell here. I've got 8 mana up. I am going to not Foretell another one, just to make sure that I can Memory Deluge from the graveyard if they choose not to do anything. My goal here is I just need to pull threats and I need to stabilize. And honestly, I need to put some effort into casting some of these Faithful Mendings, because otherwise I am going to die. But I'm going to try to Field of Ruin this in combat so that they can't take advantage of at least the doubling up of mana here. They must have seen this coming. Snakeskin Veil. Snakeskin Veil. This gets Test of Talented. If they have another one, then I can still Saw It Coming. So, okay. And their hand is just Blizzard Brawls. Okay. I am not in any way worried at this point. They only had the one of the Snakeskin Veil. Okay. Well, they definitely don't have much in the way of instants and sorceries that I care about for them to counter. So I still feel like that was the right target. The only other thing that I could have really countered with it is an Inscription, but it looks like they only had the one Inscription too. Like, is that really right? Gnarled Professor is interesting. Look, they've still got a lot of threats. I'm nowhere near out of this, but I'm feeling okay about where we are. So that goes bye-bye. The fact that their hand is 3 Blizzard Brawls is pretty great. I'm going to grab another island. I need Sunset Revelry. That's what I really need. I think I get frisky with the Hall of Storm Giants. Lets me do pretty much everything I want to do, except maybe Memory Deluge, but we got to start closing out this game, because that's the alternative. It's like, either we gain some life or we reduce theirs. Lair of the Hydra is problematic, but I've got the safety valves of Fading Hope on hand, so not super worried about it. Certainly could be worse. I like Memory Deluge here. I wish I had one more land so that I could smack with a Hall of Storm Giants and do this, but I think Hall can Fading Hope the Lair, They can counter any creatures that they play. Yeah, like this feels a little bit overly aggressive, but I think it's what gets us playing to win as opposed to just playing to not lose. So again, I really wish I had one more mana, but I think this is us maybe having stabilized as long as what they drew isn't terrifying. But I mean, there's only so scary it can get. Given everything we've seen in their deck. I can counter anything big and scary they want to get into the board if they want to go in on the Lair of the Hydra. Like the scariest thing that they can realistically do is, I guess that. I'm going to take this opportunity to just say, actually, even better, I'm going to use this, saw it coming, because I actually know how to play this game. You may be surprised sometimes, but shockingly. This lets me leave up one more blue so that I can Fading Hope the Hydra in case I've forgotten something. But they're going to turn this on for one? No. Okay. Cool. This is excellent. So now I've got that extra land so that I can leave up Memory Deluge. I can also still have the Saw It Coming Fading Hope combo. They're going to leave up the Lair of the Hydra as a blocker, and they're going to lose because of it. Yeah, because what am I talking about? I don't need the Saw It Coming. I just need the Fading Hope, because Blizzard Brawl is not an instant. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And I'm going to punish them greatly for their arrogance by putting it back in their hand and then killing them. Yeah, I don't care. Good game. Good game. I'll attack. Yeah, that was actually a really good game. It's kind of one of those games with mono green where we just got to grind it out, find the way to stabilize. And so the temptation early there to try to gain some life and sort of hedge against those things, to play too passively is real. Like the thought of leaving the Hall of the Storm Giants unactivated just in case I needed a blocker and just continue drawing cards with Memory Deluge, there is a realistic chance that that would have been the right play. And I would totally believe anyone going down that path. But if you look at the way that our hand was structured, especially at the end there, Divide by Zero doesn't get a man land, but we had the Fading Hope. So it puts these things off for a turn. And so with having them on such a short clock between, the counter spells, the Divide by Zeros, the Fading Hopes, we had a lot of ability to come back from that game and end it, which is playing to win the game, as opposed to trying to sit back too much and playing not to lose. And Control is one of the games, or the decks in the game, where sometimes playing to not lose is really the right answer, but you've got to be really judicious about when you pump the brakes and when you move forward with it. Anyway, let's try to get in another match and call it a day on Blue-White Control. All right, our next opponent is Malakar, another person with an Ugin avatar. That's pretty cool. No idea what they're going to play, but I'm hoping it'll be a good game. All right, this hand. This hand. I actually don't hate it. Like, I really wish that there was something in this hand. Like, if we could swap out this Glacial Floodplain for either a Faithful Mending or a Memory Deluge, I'd be a lot happier with it. But the way it goes, we've got a way to sort of prolong a few turns against aggro. Kind of wish that we had something for turn 2. These are still really good against control, and if it is an aggressive deck or even a Dragon's deck, having the sort of reset button with Devastating Mastery is pretty decent. It's not the best hand I've ever had, but I don't hate it. All right, start off with a Glacial Floodplain. Say go. Alright, next one down is an island. Lava Glide Pathway to me says that this is it, which means that I'm tempted to suspend the Saw It Coming. Turn 2. If I had a Jawari Disruption, I'd be really happy. I think that's the call here. Just get that on deck for later. Turn 2, the worst thing that they're going to do is either do the Expressive Iteration or lay an egg. They lay an egg. Eventually I can divide it, so it's not the end of the world. Delver. Okay. Got that one wrong. We're dealing with Delver, boys and girls. Drop the land. And here, I think that between the Suspended Saw It Coming, the 3 mana spells, and the potential use of this, I think we just sit pretty. We're going to get to see if the Delver flips, and if the Delver flips, then that's going to determine how frightened I need to be. And they've got it. Okay. So here the case is kind of tough. Yeah, they're going to attack first. That's generally the call you want to have in this case, because here I'm going to take the hit because the 3 life sucks, but I need to make sure that, okay, if they do this, I want them to not have a counterspell. If they pull a blue source off the expressive iteration, then they'll be able to replay it, but at least this way I'm not just immediately punished for having done that too early, but I lost 3 life in the process. Looking at my hand and where I need to build to, as much as I would like to go with teachings, I think I need to get environmental sciences, get some of that life back, and start making sure that I don't miss a land drop, because eventually I'm going to need to use this Devastating Mastery because it's the only removal I've got, only permanent removal I've got. But yeah, so they ripped the blue source off of the iteration. Not shocked about that. Replaying Delver, also not shocked about that. Play the Deserted Beach, and then I'll use environmental sciences. Part of the reason I'm not too worried about using this is I know I've got a Suspended Saw It Coming already, so I'll have a land for next turn, and move on from there. Hopefully they don't flip this again. It'd be really great if they didn't flip it. And of course they did, with the Play with Fire. So, okay. We're going to hit again, and Delver, I missed you. You were great in Standard, back in Innistrad Standard, but I would not mind not staring down that card right now. Oh, that is going to get countered. 1, because I've got the opportunity, and 2, because that's going to cause things to snowball. Let's just take the opportunity while I got it. Sunset Revelry is a good card here. Would be better if I had an answer to the Sextile Aberration, but if I play the Plains and the Sunset Revelry, then I get a full fat version. And that makes taking another hit from the Insectile Aberration feel okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, drawing a land there is okay. I'm going to sit back. If they've got another big wolfy threat, I want to have Saw It Coming up against it. But yeah, this Insectile Aberration is going to get obnoxious very quickly. Alright, they're going to consider, and I consider that to be acceptable. Alright. And I will take this opportunity to tell that to go fly a kite too. It would be great if they would accidentally play with fire their own creature. Just saying. Let's see. Hingegate Pathway. I have my 4 blue and white sources, so I'll play this. I think I can afford to take another hit from this, and then I can Faithful Mending. Actually, maybe the answer to Faithful Mending right now. So I can pitch the Faithful and Hingegate. Okay. Talk myself into it. I don't think I'm going to Wrath just yet, but I think knowing what I pull off this Faithful Mending is going to help plan my next coming moves. That's not great. So, what do I want to do here? I think they probably have a random man land, so I think I'll pitch Hingegate and a Faithful Mending. Leave one of them on hand to cast later. As much as I want to poke for one, just in the off chance that they draw something that I can block, like a Reckless Storm Seeker. Um, they've got like things that can be removal spells without a doubt. So I'm just gonna accept that the 1 damage is not as useful as just having another blocker back. Yep, you can expressively iterate. Fine. Now, I may end up regretting not using the Devastating Mastery because I don't know what kind of counterspell suite this deck has. So it's entirely possible. Fading Hope. That's... Okay, they've got to cast it this turn, so that's fine. Yeah. See, that happens. Okay, so they've gone down on blue, so I'm not too worried. What I was starting to say before was whether if they could leave up a counterspell and eventually ruin my plans for the Devastating Mastery. But it doesn't look like I got punished quite so hard. I would really love to find a counterspell, so I'm going to cast this one from the graveyard so that I can pitch this Faithful Mending if I get really good stuff. Okay, Devious Cover Up makes me feel really good there. So I'm going to pitch Faithful Mending and Field of Ruin. That doesn't feel great, but it's what I'm going to do. Sunset Revelry is great here. Don't think I cast it yet, though. So I'm going to go ahead and poke him for 1. Eventually. And I've got my 4 white mana, so I can destroy all non-land permanents. And don't think that they can do anything with red mana that will massively ruin this for me, but I've been wrong before, so... Okay. So what I'm hoping is that this means that they just don't have... Okay, that's fine. That they don't have much in the way of creatures. This is probably going to draw them some. Okay, Frostbite. Got rid of some Frostbites. That makes a lot of sense. There's 0 targets for them. They got another Delver. Of course they did. They always get it. But this is a good opportunity for me to... I want to leave up basically everything but Sunset Revelry. So it's... I mean, it depends on whether they flip this Delver or not that I end up regretting this decision. But I think I get more options if I'm able to Devious Cover Up, or not Devious Cover, if I'm able to Memory Deluge and maybe spike out a good card from their deck using Test of Talents. We shall see. Alright, no flip. Ascendant Spirit. Do I care right now? I think I don't. I think they've got worse things. They're going to poke me, that's okay. And then I'm going to Memory Deluge. Let's see what we can rip out of our deck to deal with these currently 1/1s. Yet another Devastating Mastery. I feel like I've been playing more Devastating Masteries today than I've played in a long time. I think I grabbed that because it seems pretty good. And the question is, do I take another Memory Deluge or Divide by 0? I think I want the Divide by 0, because that's going to eventually let me grab a threat from my sideboard. I'm thinking Mascot Exhibition would be real good here. Alright, so I've got 6 mana. I could just nuke it right here. I think if they had another big creature, they probably would have just played it, but they do have a blue mana up, so if they've got a Jawari Disruption, I will regret it. My other option is to just sit back. I can Sunset Revelry. I will not draw a card, but I'll get 2 little dudes, which could be helpful, and then I can potentially Divide by 0 the Delver if it flips, or the Ascendant Spirit if they invest super heavy into it. I like that. Would be great if I was able to draw a card there, but oh well. Can't win them all. But this gives me a decent number of options because I've got the... okay, fine. I've got the Devious Cover Up if they cast anything really traumatically scary. I've got Test of Talents. I probably could have just Test of Talent there, but like I'd like to be able to then make sure I have up Divide by 0, because if they flip the Delver, I can put it back in their hand during combat. If they invest like crazy into the Ascendant Spirit, like they're about to do, then this will allow me to punish them for that too. Okay, so the Delver didn't flip. Feeling like a real pro gamer right here. Yep, keep it coming, keep it coming. If they've got Jawari Disruption, I'm not worried. If they've got Negate, I'm going to get punished here. But let's make them have it. If not, I'm taking 4 damage. There you go. They didn't invest fully in it, the card draw mode. I should have let them try that, because I probably could have afforded to take 2 more damage and then potentially time walk them, but oh well. It is what it is. Doomscar is very nice here. Since I have 7 mana up, it lets me leave up at least Test of Talents. So that's the path I'm going to take this. I'm going to try to smack them for 2. I don't think that they're going to block that, but hey, there's always a chance. And I'll just blow them all up. This is where they finally show me the negate. But if they show me negate, I test of talents. Yeah, there you go. Good, Malakar. Expressive Iteration. This isn't much of a punish, but I kind of feel like this is a good enough target. Take a look at what's in their hand. I know they've already cast 1, so I'll maybe grab a few more. They have had the Jawari Disruption. That's interesting. Okay, and they've got Ascendant Spirit, which is almost certainly about to come down. One more Expressive Iteration. Ascendant Spirits, Reckless Storm, Consider, Jawaris. Oh, they must have been furious that we've just been inadvertently playing around the Jawari Disruption. Makes me suddenly feel like a real pro gamer with not casting the Devastating Mastery when I did, but that's just an example of like where you just, it was real easy to think like, okay, got to just blow up the field while I got the chance, but Jawari Disruption is a thing. It will ruin your day if you let it, and so don't let it. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what I want to do here. The next mode makes the Ascendant Spirit flip, so Mascot Exhibition, I mean, I get the 1 flyer, so I could potentially use it as a blocker. That seems decent. I only have 7 mana, so I want to continue the thought process I just had and not immediately walk into the Jawari Disruption. So I could Devastating Mastery to get rid of it. It's not the worst. They're only going to really have like 1 or 2 plays here or there, and it's possible that if I Devastating Mastery, if they don't draw a threat next turn, then I can turn this into a real big tempo swing. Since I don't have an instant speed way of dealing with it, I'm going to do this. I know it's going to go through because I've got the extra mana. Got the extra mana? Yes. Always got to double check these things because I am chronically enfeebled. Oh, they couldn't have played it anyway. What am I doing? They've only got red mana. I'm not used to playing and talking at the same time, so I'm trying my best not to ruin my own day. So this is interesting. Lier gets me access to a lot of fun stuff, actually. I get to Sunset Revelry again. I get access to multiple Divide by Zeros. I need 1 more mana to be able to actually cast anything off of it in the same turn. So I think as much as I want to just get Lier down here because it's going to be a big tempo swing, I think the real thing I want to do is Memory Deluge at the end of next turn using this Memory Deluge for all the reasons we've been talking about, so that hopefully I can have a 3rd mana up after I play Lier so that I have Divide by 0 ready to rock. That's my plan. In the meantime, I get to sit back and sit on a Devious Cover-Up in the worst case scenario, and have a Memory Deluge up if they don't have anything to punish me with. Let's see, Suspicious Stowaway cannot be blocked. Do I care? Is the real question here. Seafaring Werewolf. I think I'm going to let it resolve. Because if I can Memory Illusion get a land, then even if they get too crazy with this, I can Lier, Lier and then divide by 0. Excuse me. Alright, having another Consider. Cool. And now they're out of blue mana again, so this Jawari Disruption is actually not scary at all, since unless this was a blue mana source and they play it. If they have 4 snow-covered mountains here, I play the Memory Deluge from the graveyard. So that's a place where they could have made my life a lot more difficult by playing that differently. Alright, so this is good. I want the extra land. The real question now is, do I take a Doomscar as another way to kind of get out of any sort of crazy creature stuff they do? Having Lier makes this a little bit less good because I'm going to blow up Lier basically no matter what. Again, I've got other ways to blow things up in the yard. I could take the Saw It Coming, but again, Lear's going to turn that off. I think what I take here actually is the Divide by 0, just so that I continue to have more and more options there. Draw another land, so I wouldn't call it punished, but definitely not ideal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Lier and get access to all of this fun stuff. And so now I can divide by 0 if things get really too crazy here. Ascendant Spirit is... I would love it if they invested really heavily in that. They're going to deal draw a card and then discard a card. If I divide that, they're going to... Alright, fine. I'm going to let them deal the damage. They're going to draw a card and discard a card. It's going to be annoying. What I'm hoping here is that they get Zazzy and they discard the Jawari Disruption. Yeah, do it. Oh, no. Discard the land. Okay. In this case, I'm still feeling pretty good about where I am. We're officially at the part of the game where it's really, really difficult to see what I got going on down here. But hey, that's fine. So Hollow Storm Giants is excellent. Lier is going to be... He's actually not that useful of a blocker here. See if I get them to pump this now, and that would be fun. I think I'm actually going to go on the aggressive. I'm going to attack with the Lier. I've got the opportunity to bounce a lot of things. Ooh. Are they going to do what I think they're going to do? Oh, gosh. Ooh. Yeah, get in there. Do it. Do it. They think that I forgot about this. No, I didn't. Thanks, damn. And this is going to let me get... Teachings is not going to be useful for a long time. Reduced to Memory is actually not awful. I think it's not the right case, but I think they're going to scoop it up anyway, because like this game's under control. So if that were the case there... rank up. Cool. That's a nice way to end a day. Alright, so if they had not quit there, the Divide, I would have grabbed another Mascot Exhibition. And now at this point, because Lier's got everything under control, these little guys are just going to continue to be a bigger and bigger investment. That's where I would have started casting the Mascot Exhibitions. But just the sheer number of options I have here, and if anything really hit the fan, eventually I've got the ability to bounce, to cast a counter and bounce Lier so I can finish that. So I felt pretty good about it. So the opponent actually played very well, but I was just at a point where the circus of value was in full swing. There was really no chance I wasn't going to get out of there, and eventually I would have pulled up my other removal spells, and each of those gets doubled up because Lier is my boy. And that's that. Okay, so we played through 3 rounds of standard ranked best of 1 using this Azorius Lier control deck. Won all 3 of them, and in this case I didn't cherry pick any games. I just played those 3 in a row. Some of them were a little bit dicier than others. They were all a lot of fun. I think that actually the decks that we played against were pretty good representations of where the meta is at large. The blue-red Delver deck, I think, doesn't show up quite as much at the upper elos, the sort of higher ranks closer to Mythic, quite as much. So that's one that may be a little bit less relevant of a matchup depending on where you are on the ladder. But it is of increasing popularity, especially as just an alternative for the white and green aggro decks that people are getting used to. And so I don't think it's going to be something you see totally infrequently. It certainly wasn't the first time I've played against it. But it's a fun matchup. So here's blue-white control. Again, the biggest problem with blue-white control, if anything, is that it takes a long time for it to get to a point where it can close out the game. You know, I had been playing for probably close to an hour, and only got 3 games in. Now, I love games that are grindy like that. I don't mind that at all, but there are certain decks that will punish you for not being able to pull out an answer in time. And you have to just be ready for that. That's just what it comes down to, honestly. So Hall of Storm Giants is a great way to end the game. So is the sideboard mascot exhibition. Great way to close things out. But there's, take 7 mana a piece to get to. That's not trivial. And you've got a lot of cards that get relatively worse if the opponent has piles and piles of mana. So you have to eventually pivot to a point where you have to end the game. And so I talked about this at the end of one of the other games. And while control can do the play to not lose thing for a while to sort of set up a good game, a lot of times eventually you do have to win the game, and you don't want to fall into the trap of playing so cautiously that your opponent ends up destabilizing you after you've stabilized. So a really important skill for a new control player is to be able to learn to understand when you have stabilized, be able to recognize that point in the game where you can really just, accept that you've accomplished what you need to accomplish in terms of setting up the win and start getting aggressive. And sometimes it backfires. You can't win every game, and sometimes the opponent just has it. But if you can get yourself to a point where you feel reasonably confident that the majority of things that your opponent could have won't upset you, that's when you can turn that corner. It's also a reason why having a really good, solid working understanding of the metagame is really important. But mostly just have fun. These decks really reward really good tactical play. And so if you're like me and really value MTG gameplay that really challenges you to think and really plan your actions and have those tactics in place, you're going to love playing Control, and especially the blue-white X Control decks that I'm going to showcase over the next few videos. That's it for me, and until next time, I'm Marshall on Organo Metallica on YouTube. Please, if you liked it, give it a thumb, and if you loved it, give it a sub, and I'll see you next time.